Hello, my chair is spinning and I tried to put the brakes on it like I was in my wheelchair. So that's where my brain is today. Also, I am wearing false lashes. Oh, there goes the chair. I have not worn false lashes in months, if not longer, my god. And I'm really liking them. It only took me like 5 tries to get them on with glue, so I think we're doing good. And I have a lot of energy today, or at least I've been able to do a lot of things, which is why we're filming. So if you see me in this outfit a couple times, that's because I filmed a bunch of videos today. Don't mention it. I will never be one of those creators who like changes their outfit and makeup to match the video. It's just not gonna happen in the same day. Anyway, it is Autism Acceptance Month, and as I am autistic, I figured I would make some videos about it. So that's what I'm doing today. I'm not sure if all my videos will be related to autism this month because technically everything I do is autism acceptance because I am autistic, and therefore my identity and existence is forcing you to accept me. But there's a video that has been on my to-do list to make for so long now. Like literally, my phone just did an alert saying film this video because I keep putting it off. Not because I don't want to, I just don't have the energy. But now I do. So today we're going to talk about autism and food, specifically my experience with autism and food, because as I've mentioned before, the only experience I can portray accurately is my own, and I don't feel comfortable enough talking about other people beyond the most like general of terms from what I've heard from other people in the community. So I definitely encourage you to look for other videos or posts or anything on this topic, but today I'm going to talk about my thoughts. So when I was growing up, I was always told that I was a picky eater and that was a bad thing. Not from my parents, but I guess I knew from like general society that being a picky eater was bad and it was rude. Apparently when I was really young, I went through a phase of only eating Rice Krispies, like dry, so rice cereal, essentially. On a plate, and I do remember this, so I feel like it's real, if that tells you anything. I was also told a lot that I ate like a bird. So up until puberty, so like 12, 13, I was pretty close to being underweight, and I was definitely very, very skinny. I was also very tall for my age. So, well, my mom says I was a beautiful child. I think I look kind of scrawny. I could count my ribs until I was 12. And it didn't affect me in like a health way or anything. It was just how my body was. And I could eat as much as I wanted. I could eat dessert every night or a snack. And yeah, I just didn't gain weight. So I don't miss that time necessarily because I try really hard to focus on not focusing on food too much because of the fact that my brain obsesses over things so much. I know that if I were to try like any sort of calorie counting or even keeping track of the food I eat beyond did I eat today, yes or no, I could easily see my brain lashing onto that and then getting an eating disorder. So I've tried to avoid that, and I think because I know this about myself, I have been lucky enough to not fall into disordered eating, which obviously is a big problem that affects loads of people. And again, I can't speak on that too much because I've never experienced it, but it's definitely something I keep in mind when I think about food. Beyond just not eating a lot as a child, I, as I said, was very picky. So it was hard for me to eat certain foods, and it was hard for me to eat new foods, and a lot of the stuff that I liked was plain. And as I grew older, I realized that I liked the stuff that was plain because the tastes to me were already so much that putting more things on it was just overwhelming. So take like a hamburger, for example. For me, the meat and the bun taste so good and taste so much that if I were to put like toppings on it, ketchup, lettuce, tomato, whatever, it just wouldn't taste good to me because I don't like flavors necessarily being mixed. Some things, but some things I don't. And I also, yeah, it's just too intense. And I realize that's a sensory experience now. And since autistic people aren't always great at having sensory regulation, this makes a lot more sense. And I wish I had known that when I was younger, so I would have stopped being so embarrassed. And this is something that's gone with me into adulthood. It was only until recently that I would stop feeling so embarrassed when I went out in public because I felt like people would judge me, like friends, wait staff, whatever, if I said, oh, I just want a hamburger, just the meat and the bun, please. Especially when I was in college and I had friends from all around the world with really cool, adventurous food. And then I'd be there ordering something and trying to get like, not the least amount of ingredients possible, but the kind of ingredients that I knew I liked and I liked together because I hated the idea of wasting food. This actually got really bad around pandemic time and a bit before, so to the point where I was like almost scared to eat out with people or scared to eat in front of people because of the fact that I was so worried about what they would think, which is something that will probably always be an issue for me, but it is easier now, which I appreciate. However, it's not always a bad thing, in my opinion, to be picky. So food is really hard, right? Because there's always some kind of new stuff coming up. So like new diets saying to do this or do that. And I'm not a fan of diets, but even just people saying, well, this thing is healthy. Well, now it's not healthy. Well, it is healthy, but it can be healthy for some people, but then it's not healthy for other people. What's clean eating? What's dirty eating? What's keto? What's, FODMAP? That's a lot for me. And I get really overwhelmed as well with too much information. And that can cause a reaction anywhere from just freaking out to like crying, or just shutting down where my brain will just stop absorbing the information. That mostly happens with topics that I'm anxious about. It wouldn't happen if you threw a bunch of like language facts at me. I'd probably love that. But that's another tie into the autism, I suppose. But yeah, it wasn't all terrible. So because of the fact that I can taste things so intensely, I get a lot of pleasure out of simple food that other people might find boring. Like you could give me bread and I would just eat the bread plain, and I did. Like for years, I would only eat plain bagels, and then I grew up into putting margarine on them, and then eventually jam, and then eventually ham and cheese and egg. But for me, just eating a plain bagel, so just bread, was enough of a pleasurable, quite frankly, amazing experience that I didn't mind it. It wasn't missing out or anything for me. It was delicious. And it's the same with drinking water. You know how when you drink water on like a really hot day and it feels amazing, it's like, oh my God, there's nothing more I love in this world than water. That's kind of how I feel with foods that I enjoy. And that kind of goes into my next point, which is that I'm actually really easy to cook for. Like, I get that there's a lot of things I don't like, but I don't really get bored of foods that I do like. So you could give me the same meal every time I go to your house, and I'm fine with that. I think there's a lot of stigma, as I said before, about being a picky eater, about being rude. And I'm not saying like outright refuse food whenever you go to your friends' houses or when you go out, but I think it's equally important to advocate for yourself. Like, it's okay if you say, hi, there are some things that I can't eat because they make me, I can't handle the texture. For example, I can't eat peas, I will gag. The taste, the smell, the texture, just nope. Actually, that's most vegetables, which is the point I'll get onto in a minute. But anyway, I think it's totally fine to say that, because wouldn't you rather have them think you were a little weird than give you all this food that you can't eat and then watch you not eat it and then waste it? That seems a lot worse to me. And honestly, even though I'm talking about picky eating as a relationship to autism, I don't think there's much of a problem with it, even if you're not neurodivergent. Like, if you like the foods that you want and you're getting all the vitamins and things that you need, who cares? I don't know. I feel like we spend a lot of time pushing the norms of society onto people when they could really be detrimental. I remember a friend telling me that her parents were very against the like clean plate club thing. For those of you who didn't grow up with that, essentially it was the idea that you couldn't leave the table until you ate everything on your plate, or you wouldn't get a dessert or some other sort of privilege until you ate everything on your plate. But that's essentially forcing kids to maybe eat more than they're hungry for, which then can teach them to essentially subconsciously ignore the hunger feelings and the full feelings from their body, because they're used to thinking, okay, I have to eat all of this. And listening to your body is one of the most important ways to eat properly. I guess healthily as well. I hesitate to talk about that too much because I'm not a nutritionist and I'm certainly not good at food or remembering how to eat, but it's really what your body wants. And I think your body knows what it wants and what it needs, and it'll tell you that. And if you're like me and you have completely zoned out from those signals because you have to zone out from pain, set reminders. And as for like the nutritional thing, as I mentioned, I don't eat a lot of vegetables. I eat carrots. That is literally the only vegetable I've been able to eat for ever, I think. I eat a lot of fruit though. So I try to make sure that I check in with my doctor, and I make sure I have all the vitamins I need. I actually get a lot of blood tests because life, so they can tell me if I'm deficient in something, and they have supplements for that. I guess I want to end this video on saying, if you're a picky eater, don't be ashamed about it. If you're autistic and a picky eater, really don't be ashamed about it. But also just remember that eating is important to survive. And as my therapists have told me, many therapists, it's better to eat something than nothing. So even if you're eating so-called dirty food or junk food, it's better than not eating anything at all, right? I hope that video made sense and it was kind of interesting. I would love to hear what else you guys would like to know about autism from an autistic person. For me, autism is so normal that I kind of forget that it's not the way everyone sees the world. So if you have any questions or topics you'd like me to cover, let me know and I will be happy to do so. Thank you guys again so much for watching and I will see you soon. Bye.